I came across the book of Isaiah, chapter 59. And Isaiah says in this chapter, no one goes to law honestly. They lie and spin their web of deceit. We look for justice, but there is none. Truth has fallen from the public squares. The Lord saw this and was upset and wondered why there was no one to intervene in seeking justice. And I looked at that word, intervene, and I said, I wonder if this is God's sign for me to intervene on behalf of Chiefy. And I felt that it was. And so I went in prison the next week, actually a little before Christmas, and I told him I have a Christmas present for you and Elena. And so I said, Chiefy, I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to do what I can, move the ball forward to try and free you. And I'm going to start that in a month or so after we finish our final exams. habeas corpus. And we got a hearing in federal court for the federal district judge to consider and review all the documented evidence as well as witness testimony, post-conviction witness testimony. We put Kevin Kelly on the stand. He had to account for what we knew to be the subordination of perjury, and I almost felt sorry for him by the time Paul got through with him, but I didn't. On July 6th, 1983, 3 or 4 months after the hearing, Honorable District Judge Frederick B. Lacey reversed the conviction and found as a fact that Delisante lied to stay out of prison and that the prosecutor knew that he had lied in support of perjury. And on July 26, 1983, several weeks later, Paul Castellero and I went down to Trent State Prison and picked Chiefy up, a free and exonerated man, and brought him home to his wife in Newark that glorious day. Up until that point, it was the best day by far of my entire life. Now, during the 2.5 years I was working for Chiefy, I had met 3 other New Jersey lifers who I had come to believe were also innocent. And all 3 were asking me to please do for them what I had done for Chiefy after we freed him. Now we come to another crossroads, which is in July of 1983. Chiefy's freed. So I finished my Master Divinity degree program. That was completed at the same time. But at that time, I was broke. However, just at that time, now I have a choice to make. Am I going to now go on and get ordained as a church pastor? Or what am I going to do with these 3 other men? Just when I'm struggling with that decision, I received a $10,000 tax-free gift from my mother and father. They had come into some extraordinary income from an old investment they had made years before, and they gave each of us 3 kids a $10,000 tax-free gift. I looked at that as manna from heaven and seed money to begin what I later called Centurion Ministries. I decided to establish a non-profit organization called Centurion Ministries, and I named it Centurion after the centurion in the Gospel of Luke. The centurion, standing at the foot of the crucified Christ, looks up and says, surely this one was innocent. And that's where the name comes from. Then I began work. I started work on those 3 cases. Eventually, we freed all 3. Renee Santana was freed in February of '86. Nate Walker was freed in November of '86. And Damaso Vega was freed in November of 1989.
And a terrific job on the storytelling and production by Faith Buchanan and Robert Davis. And a special thanks to Jim McCluskey for his work with Chiefy and with so many others. Centurion has freed 67 men and women serving life sentences. And all, again, because he answered God's calls. Who am I? He asked. What do I believe? And what does God require of me? When challenged by Chiefy. And Isaiah chapter 59 provided the answer for him. God sent a sign to me and said, and the word intervene just kept calling at me. And by the way, you can get to Jim's organization, Centurion, at centurion.org. Jim McCluskey's story here on Our American Story.
Did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Ad paid for by the Centennial Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be entitled to significant compensation. For nearly 34 years, those in the Marine Corps base Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries, including several forms of cancer, adverse birth outcomes, Parkinson's disease, and more. North Carolina's procedural laws have prevented victims from getting the justice they deserve, but passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow you or a loved one to file a lawsuit seeking compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water. Call today for your free consultation. 800-570-4871. Let our experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-570-4871. That's 800-570-4871. Again, 800-570-4871.
At Reuter Auction and Realty, we are land brokers, equipment auctioneers, and farm managers. Our company is deeply rooted in agriculture, and we realize that farm and ranch assets are serious business. We are an integrity-based organization with over 50 years of proven results in Nebraska and Kansas. Consult with us today if it's time to sell your family's land or assets, or put a farm management plan in place. Find us on the web at ReuterAuction.com or on the KRVN Marketplace. Call us at 402-463-8565.
When you do one thing, you learn to do it very well. At Central Valley Irrigation, we sell and install quality valley irrigation equipment and parts and provide fast response irrigation service. I'm Jeremiah Johnson, reminding you that if you want the irrigation experts, call Central Valley Irrigation. With stores in Holdridge, Lexington, and Kearney, we can get you up and running fast. Like us on Facebook and check out our website, Central Valley Irrigation, the smart investment.
Cruise in a 2022 Ford Broncos Big Bend Edition, sponsored by Eustace Body Shop with 6 locations, 880 KRDF and KRDN FM HD2, Lexington.
Another deadly shooting. I'm Laura Cantor, Fox News. A shooting at a park in San Pedro, California Sunday afternoon killed 2 people with 5 others injured. We don't know exactly how many shooters we have at this point. We have it contained. Los Angeles Police Department Captain Kelly Muniz. Officials say that a fight escalated into shots being fired and that around 500 people were in the area for a car show. The second quarter GDP report, which could indicate whether the U.S. has entered a recession, is being released Thursday. Fox's Jackie Heinrich is at the White House with more.
The White House appears to be bracing for a second consecutive quarter of negative growth, commonly referred to as a recession. The White House already saying, though, they won't be using the R word themselves. The Council of Economic Advisors redefining what a recession is, writing on their blog that official determinations take a holistic look at the data.
Despite Russia agreeing to allow Ukraine to export grain out of 3 Ukrainian Black Sea ports, Russian missiles hitting the port city of Odessa over the weekend. Ukrainian Defense Minister Advisor Yuri Sak calling for nations to designate Russia as a terrorist state.
Striking innocent civilian residential houses, striking peaceful cities, and the cynical strike at Odessa airport less than 24 hours after the grain deal was signed is another proof that Russia indeed is a terrorist state.
Russia claims the missile strike hit only military targets. Firefighters in California still attempting to control the Oak Fire near Yosemite National Park. The wildfire causing over 3,000 people in Mariposa County to evacuate. American Red Cross Central Valley Chapter Executive Director Lori Wilson discusses how her organization is helping evacuees.
A lot of uncertainty, you have a lot of fear, and so what we try to do is provide that safe space.
America is listening to Fox News.
From the
News Podcasts Network. The Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, going far beyond the headlines, tapping into the massive reporting resources of Fox News to provide a full picture of the news of the day.
I'm Dana Perino.
I'm Brett Baer.
I'm Maria Bartiromo.
I'm Brian Kilmeade, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, it's Will Kane, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend. Please, I share my thoughts on a wide range of topics from sports and pop culture to politics and business. With the help of newsmakers and personalities, I will provide you my free, unfiltered, uncancelable opinion on the hottest topics in America.
The Will Kane Podcast. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. America is listening to Fox News.
The man accused of attacking New York GOP gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin during a campaign appearance is now facing federal charges. David Jacobonis was initially arrested and quickly released on local charges. Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer has more.
His freedom was pretty short-lived. It was after he was arrested again, this time facing a federal charge, as you said, Lawrence, for attacking a congressman. That charge following an investigation by several agencies, including the FBI and U.S. Capitol Police. And it found that 43-year-old David Jacobonis willfully assaulted Zeldin with a dangerous weapon. Now, he claims he didn't know why he attacked Zeldin or even who he was when he attacked him. According to a criminal complaint, Jacobonis said he did not know who the speaker was or that the speaker was a political person. When shown a video of the incident, Jacobonis stated in sum and substance that what was depicted in the video was disgusting and that he must have, quote, checked out.
Federal authorities still discovering millions and millions of illegal opioid pills.
This is probably the most dangerous time to be a teenager in the history of America.
Dr. Charles Preston is the coroner in St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana. He says teenagers are buying pills without any idea what's really in them.
Early on, we were really seeing fentanyl mixed in with heroin. And now we're seeing fentanyl being pressed into pills.
The public health group Partnership for Safe Medicines tracks fake pill deaths nationwide. Executive Director Shabir Safdar says more dealers are selling their supply on social media. PSM has recorded fake pill deaths linked to social media in at least 22 states.
Fox News multimedia reporter Rebecca Castor. The U.S. winning gold medals in both 4x4 relay races in the final night of the 2022 World Athletics Championship. I'm Laura Cantor, and this is Fox News.
The 880 Weather Watch calls for isolated showers and thunderstorms throughout Monday with cloudy skies and a high of 74 degrees. Monday night, isolated showers and thunderstorms with mostly cloudy skies and a low at 63. Tuesday, we're going to see showers and thunderstorms throughout the day with a high of 83. Wednesday, isolated showers and thunderstorms continue with a high of 81. Thursday, showers and thunderstorms with a high around 80. And as we go into Friday, we're going to see isolated showers and thunderstorms in the morning, followed by partly sunny skies with a high of 79. Saturday, more chances for showers and thunderstorms with a high of 82 degrees for the day. From the 880 Weather Watch, I'm staff meteorologist Amanda Edwards. And for more, check KRVN.com. Currently 72.
Download the KRVN app today for the latest regional news, weather, sports, markets, and more. Download the free app now.
This is Lee Habib, and this is Our American Stories, and we tell stories about everything here on this show. Up next, a story about a famous general of the American Revolution, Mad Anthony Wayne. Here's our own Monty Montgomery with the story.
Chances are, if you're from the Midwest, you've probably heard of Mad Anthony Wayne before. Fort Wayne is named after him. Wayne County, where Detroit is located, is too. And there's a bridge bearing his name in Toledo, Ohio. But he's a lot more than just his namesake. Here's Dr. Mary Stockwell, author of Unlikely General, Mad Anthony Wayne in the Battle for America, with why that is.
I can tell you my own experience experience. When I would tell people I'm writing a book about Anthony Wayne, and they would say, why? Why are you bothering? He was mad. He was a madman. And his name is everywhere out here. We don't just have a bridge about Anthony Wayne. We have Anthony Wayne vet clinics and Anthony Wayne plumbing and Anthony Wayne roofing and all kinds of things. But in the mind of most people, I started to ask them, what do you think about him? And they would say, well, he was this wild madman and he loved war and all these things. And that's kind of who he is. Within the last century, Wayne has kind of come into the memory of the American Revolution as just a wild man who loved to kill the British, and then he came in here and loved to kill the Indians. None of this is true. There's no resemblance to the real Anthony Wayne. He was born on New Year's Day, 1745, just outside of Philadelphia. He was very wealthy. Might have been one of the wealthiest young men who had participated in the Revolution. His father trained him to be a lawyer, but Wayne wanted to be a soldier. And his father said, we're in the British Empire. You're a young colonial. You're never going to make it in the British Army. But he had a vivid imagination. And from the time he was little, he was swept up in stories of warfare, the glory of it, leading men in battle. He would later write, as he was fighting the Revolution, sometimes he would look ahead and he would say, I can see myself on horseback and I'm riding into Philadelphia and we won a great battle and the laurels are on me the way they were on Caesar and the gold of light is upon me. He loved that. He loved the camaraderie of being with his fellow men. He loved serving George Washington. But the dream was glory, and in his imagination it all seemed so wonderful and so beautiful. You have to remember too that if a young boy was well educated in revolutionary times or pre-revolutionary times, he would have learned Latin. And to learn Latin, he would have read the great writers in Latin, the ancient Romans. One of the greatest writers was Julius Caesar. So he read all his commentaries. He knew every battle. And in his imagination, he ran it almost like a movie. Someday I'll be a part of this glorious enterprise, and to think I win fame and fortune. I'll go down in the annals of my nation. But his father got him a job as a surveyor. I think if he could get out in the world and survey land, that would maybe get some of this energy off of him. What happens, though, is the American Revolution starts to get underway, and he joins the revolutionary cause. He becomes a member of the Pennsylvania Assembly, and he's one of the very first people in the country who says, it's time to break away from Great Britain. And he says to anyone who would listen to him, either in the Assembly or in all the taverns outside of Philadelphia, he says, we're a de facto republic. We don't have a king. We don't have nobility. We're the people. We should rule ourselves. He was on fire for the revolution, the way Thomas Paine was, the way John Adams was, long before the revolution started. And once the Continental Army starts to form, this childhood dream he had to be a soldier, he finally realized. And he was off to George Washington's camp on Long Island in 1776. Again, very handsome man, beautifully dressed. His father taught him to always look your part. Knew every battle of Julius Caesar ever fought. He bounds into Washington's camp. I am here to serve. I'm here to serve the revolution. I'm here to serve my nation. But he knew nothing really beyond what he had read in his ancient history books. But when Washington met him, he said, well, he's got one thing at least, and that's enthusiasm. It's interesting, the very first thing George Washington gave him to do, he said, well, this man's a gentleman. How about you join us in Fox News? But very quickly, Wayne was given one assignment after another and becomes really better and better at it. The very first thing he was sent to do, he was sent with the American Army to a place called Three Rivers in Canada. Now, this is June 1776, and in this battle of Three Rivers, the Army is completely defeated. Who leads the retreat? Anthony Wayne. He released the retreat of the Army back into New York. And people say about him, he gives a snap to attention immediately once the battle begins. What he remembers, because he writes to his young wife about every battle he's going into, and he tells her, he goes, when I was headed to Three Rivers, the first thing I realized, all that glory and all that wonder of childhood is gone. I could possibly die in this horrible battle. What am I doing this
Davis again snapped to attention, so Washington learned very quickly if he needed somebody to help with the retreat, Wayne just naturally could move an army faster, get it out of danger.
And we're listening to Dr. Mary Stockwell tell the story of Mad Anthony Wayne, the unlikely general, and giving, well, a little more depth to the story, or as Paul Harvey likes to say, the rest of the story of this great man. He was, well, a dandy. He looked like a gentleman. But something happened to him in battle. Of course, he thought about it all of his life. He snaps to attention when the battle begins. That could be as kind of thing as you could ever say about anybody, because some people retrench once the battle begins, or they hide. He snaps to attention when the battle begins. More of Mad Anthony Wayne's story here on Our American Story.
Washington puts all his men along Brandywine Creek to the west, trying to stop them, but he puts Wayne right up along the border, working under Brandywine Creek, gets him there too. What's interesting about Wayne at this time, he realizes on the battlefield something's going on. Goes to Washington and he said, I don't think we're in the right position. I think the British are not crossing where we think they're crossing. I think they're coming north. They're going to come around Brandywine Creek. They're going to attack us from the rear. We're going to be surrounded. So he had an ability to figure out in the midst of a battle what was happening. George Washington made a terrible mistake. He told Wayne, go back up to that bluff. The British are crossing where we think they're crossing. Wayne was right. Continental Army was almost surrounded, almost destroyed, but they got out of there.
But despite Washington's mistake at Brandywine Creek, Anthony Wayne remained one of his greatest supporters, even though they had some major differences.
George Washington was the kind of person who always controlled his emotions. Anthony Wayne was a very enthusiastic, wore his heart on his sleeve. He had no sense that anybody was greater or lesser than anyone else. He just befriended George Washington and was much warmer to him than probably Washington was to Wayne. Maybe the most wonderful things I discovered was, well, Wayne was Washington's cheerleader. Other people, again, they respected Washington and they kept him at a distance. But Wayne didn't feel that way. He felt they were friends. Before every battle, he would write George Washington a letter saying, you're going to win. You're in a great position. Yes, Caesar did it before. You can do it. You can win this battle. And when it was over and Washington didn't win, he often lost the battle, who would he get a letter from? Anthony Wayne. And Wayne would say to him, we're in a better position than we were before we lost. We will get through this. You will get better. And he said, I want you to be the next Julius Caesar. He realizes very quickly he's not Julius Caesar. This isn't going to be a war of glorious battles. This is going to be a war of attrition and staying in the field and keeping the army in the field. And finally, Wayne realizes, well, I was disappointed, maybe up to Valley Forge, that he's not Julius Caesar, but I realize this man that I love and respect so much, my elder brother, is a new kind of leader. He's a political leader. He's a moral leader. He's got to keep the army in the field. This is what a modern revolution looks like.
Wayne's support for Washington would pay off, and he would work his way up the ranks in the Continental Army. But the war wasn't all glory for Anthony Wayne, and in fact, it became anything but for him.
He's remembered for 3 big mistakes that he made. Washington gives him an assignment. He said, in the middle of the night, I want you to attack the baggage train of the British as they head east into Philadelphia. Just get the baggage train. Wayne gets his men up on the road into Philadelphia, in between the Paoli and the Warren Tavern. The people come to him and say, the British know you're here. And he said, no, the British will not do this. I am not going to listen to farmers and children about where the British are. Well, in the middle of the night, the British did strike. It was called the Paoli Massacre. Many of his men were killed. He got them out of there. He retreated, which he was so good at. But if he had listened and stopped with his dreams and what he thought was going to happen and listened to what was happening to him on the ground, it wouldn't have happened.
Then on January 1st, 1781, Wayne oversaw the Pennsylvania Line Mutiny, a situation that happened when countless men, tired of war, threw down their weapons and threatened to defect to the British Army. But it was a third failure that caused the press to apply a nickname to him that had been used by his own men.
At a place called Green Spring Plantation, he's convinced, oh look, there's a baggage train of Cornwallis going back to North Carolina. Well, I'll attack it. That kind of bloodied the nose. He lines his
angry. And this is where the word mad comes from. The Irish would say, oh, he's mad. He's mad. The general is mad. The best that I go off and not confront him. Jimmy was never seen again, even though Wayne told his wife, see if you can find him. That's what the nickname was. But now people say, maybe he's mad, a little bit crazy and reckless on the battlefield.
And Wayne would soon start to despair.
He goes through an immense transformation in the Revolution. He does a record of it in his really beautiful letters. He might start out in 1776, this is all glory, this is all wonderful, this is all fun. But as he watches his men suffer, without clothes, without shoes, without food, without pay, always having to beg the political leaders and the people, the populace, for help, he begins to despair over the cause, the American cause. And it begins to wear on him. He's shot before Yorktown. That wound never heals. He becomes sick, and he goes into depression. And his depression causes the blue damsels who come in the night. How can this be happening to us? How can we be a turning point in world history and the people don't support us? One of the most interesting things I discovered are his writings after Yorktown, when the Battle of Yorktown was won. Everyone is gloriously happy. I always think of Trumbull's beautiful painting when everybody's lined up at Yorktown. It's so stunningly beautiful. And that's not what happened. That's not what Wayne remembered. Wayne remembered how the British had to walk with the Hessians on this thing called the surrender. They walked out to the surrender field. You can see it in Yorktown today. Wayne, in the midst of all this jubilation, he never forgot. He looked across the way, and there were the French in their silks and satins. They were gorgeous. And he looked at his own men on the other side of the road, and he said, we're barefoot. They had some of my men couldn't even stand here. They couldn't even cover themselves. Their clothes are threadbare. And that set him into despair. How can we be a nation that doesn't understand what's at stake? And he begged Washington, I'm going home. And it suddenly dawned on him, wait a minute, I have a little boy and a little girl. I left them as infants, Margaretta and Isaac. I have to get an education for Isaac in the trade. I've got to make a fine lady out of Margaretta. I've got to get her into school and get her married. And he said, I'm going home. I've had it. And Washington said, no, you're going to Georgia. You're going to go fight with Nathaniel Greene. And in a terrible campaign, 1782 to 1783, that is completely forgotten today, Wayne goes south, and he's given a 500-man army, and he's told you got to bring peace to Georgia and make sure the government works and Georgia remains a state. That's where he really sinks into despair. That's where he writes to his wife, who doesn't even write to him anymore. And he said, I'm satiated of this war-traded blood. I don't want to do this anymore. But he somehow secures Georgia.
And you've been listening to Dr. Mary Stockwell tell the story of the unlikely general Mad Anthony Wayne. More of this remarkable story, a soldier's story, a patriot's story, here on Our American Stories. Get a good night's sleep with Casper. Their popular Casper Original Hybrid mattress is engineered for cool, comfortable sleep. Or try their Wave Hybrid mattress, which provides more support than foam alone. For cooler sleep, upgrade to the Wave Hybrid Snow Mattress with snow technology. Need to try it to believe it? Casper offers free delivery and a risk-free 100-night trial. Explore Casper products at Casper.com and use code STORIES100 for $100 off select mattress. Exclusive supply, see Casper.com for more details.
Testosterone levels are at an all-time low. Individual T levels decline 1%. Every year, Choq CHOQ is the new champion of natural testosterone boosters. Choq's main ingredient is clinically studied to naturally boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity and boost your daily energy with Choq's Male Vitality Set. For a limited time, our listeners will get 30% off at CHOQ.com with promo code USA. CHOQ.com, code USA.
Ad paid for by the Centennial Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be entitled to significant compensation. For nearly 34 years, those in the Marine Corps base Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries, including several forms of cancer, adverse birth outcomes, Parkinson's disease, and more. North Carolina's procedural laws have prevented victims from getting the justice they deserve, but passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow you or a loved one to file a lawsuit seeking compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water. Call today for your free consultation. 800-570-4871. Let our experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-570-4871. That's 800-570-4871. Again, 800-570-4871.
Hunt Limousine Ranch, Oxford, Nebraska, is your source for high-quality limousine and Limflex seed stock. We produce bulls that excel in cabinese, high performance, and docility, and deliver them to ranchers all across the United States. Stop by the ranch and see for yourself why your next bull should come from Hunt Limousine Ranch. Give Dan a call, 308-991-3373 to set up a visit, or study the bulls on the web at huntlimousine.com. Hunt Limousine Ranch. Great bulls, great customer service.
At Rousey Sim Angus, our motto is practicality, functionality, and heterosis. We breed both black and red Sim Angus bulls to provide cattlemen a simple way to maintain a beneficial level of heterosis in the cow herd. Pounds, fertility, and longevity have a big impact on a program's bottom line. We invite you to visit our website at RouseySimAngus.com for more information about our program, annual bull sale, and private treaty sales.
The 880 Weather Watch calls for isolated showers and thunderstorms throughout Monday with cloudy skies and a high of 74 degrees. Monday night, isolated showers and thunderstorms with mostly cloudy skies and a low at 63. Tuesday, we're going to see showers and thunderstorms throughout the day with a high of 83. Wednesday, isolated showers and thunderstorms continue with a high of 81. Thursday, showers and thunderstorms with a high around 80. And as we go to Friday, we're going to see isolated showers and thunderstorms in the morning, followed by partly sunny skies with a high of 79. Saturday, more chances for showers and thunderstorms with a high of 82 degrees for the day. From the 880 Weather Watch, I'm staff meteorologist Amanda Edwards. And for more, check KRVN.com. Currently 71.
On air, online, on social media, the leading news presence for rural Nebraska and Kansas. 880 KRVN, Lexington. News, I'm Richard Jordan. Investors and economists are waiting to see if new economic reports will point to signs of a recession.
Ahead of this week's GDP reading, the White House appears to be bracing for